So you ready? Time? I'm ready. Cool. I'm Fee, and I'm going to be talking about research in direct instruction effective techniques. Now, there's quite a bit in this little segment, so I'm going to do a brief overview of the key aspects of effective direct instruction and behaviours that support key aspects of effective teaching. Now, research tells us that certain key aspects of direct instruction are important contributors to student learning, and with that in mind, I'd like to go into a little bit more detail of one aspect and one behaviour, because as pre-service teachers, this is fairly important to us. We want to be the best we can when we first go into the classroom. Okay, Killen gives us 5 aspects: teacher clarity, instructional variety, task orientation, engagement in learning, and learner success. I'd like to speak about the first one, teacher clarity. Now, Killen says a clear teacher is one who presents information in ways that makes it easy for students to understand. The second of the chapter of teacher clarity offers 2 types of clarity. We've got cognitive clarity and verbal clarity. They are linked, but they're certainly different things. Let's look first at cognitive clarity. Now, it's described in terms of things that teachers can do to bring about learner understanding. Essentially, it's presenting all the information possible in the best way for the students to make meaning making. An example might be, you wouldn't want to teach your class about mise en scène in French if they didn't yet know how to say bonjour, or they weren't even aware they were supposed to be learning the French language. Basic steps. So, cognitive clarity. To teach with cognitive clarity, Killen gives us a little bit of a step-by-step list, which I've got little genres for, which I'm a bit excited about. Tell students what you want them to learn or be able to do. This would be so that they can know the outcomes you want them to achieve. Present the lesson content in a logical sequence so students can follow it easily. Present the lesson content at a suitable pace, not too fast, not too slow. Give explanations that make sense to students. Emphasise important points so learners can see what is important. Use appropriate examples to support your explanations, ideally those from the student's world, so they can make understanding of that. Ask questions to check students' understanding. Re-explain things if students get confused. Explain the meanings of new words, because every subject has jargon that students must master if they're able to understand your explanations. Give students time to think about new information. Answer students' questions satisfactorily, and give an adequate summary of the main points of the lesson. Now this then is cognitive clarity. Verbal clarity, on the other hand, describes clarity in terms of what teachers say and how they say it. It's also referred to as vagueness. Most research is based on how teachers can be unclear, using things like incomplete sentences, non-specifics, being vague, yeah, nahs, that kind of thing. Obviously, verbal clarity is quite an important part of cognitive clarity, because if you've got all this amazing structure, you don't really want to stuff it up by not actually being understood. Okay. Unsurprisingly, clarity of presentation has been shown to positively influence student achievement. You can tell, because this little guy is writing a certificate. He is achieving. So, can anyone here summarise for me one of the 2 clarities? Anyone? Jason?
Verbal clarity?
Yes, please do.
Verbal clarity, it's about how you present yourself to the students.
Yeah, fantastic. Alright, so let's have a quick look at them. Teacher clarity includes cognitive and verbal. Cognitive includes presenting lessons in logical sequence, using examples and emphasising important points, and verbal clarity being what and how you actually say it. Now I'd like to look at behaviours that support the key aspects of effective teaching. Now these, just quietly, are behaviours that also work in other teaching strategies, not just direct instruction, although we are focusing on just direct instruction today, but just to keep it in mind for future learning. Now, hands up, who had a favourite teacher at school? Yep, beautiful, keep that in mind. These are 5 behaviours specified by Killen. Using students' ideas, structuring, questioning, probing, and enthusiasm. Now, hands up, who had the favourite teacher again? Keep your hand up if that teacher was enthusiastic about teaching you, about the subject, about teaching in general. Enthusiasm is a very important part of it. Now, most research doesn't actually specify if enthusiasm actually affects student achievement, but it certainly affects student engagement, which then leads to achievement. Killing gives us a lovely chicken and egg example with Stenlin's theory that teacher enthusiasm is influenced by the enthusiasm of students and students by teachers. Oh, they just help each other grow in enthusiasm. It's exciting. This is further talked about with Fall's claim that enthusiasm is one of the dispositions that characterises exceptional teachers. Exceptional teachers are enthusiastic ones. And enthusiastic teachers are usually seen as better communicators. Now, pretty much to conclude, if we make sure that we're looking at effectively embracing even the two examples I've spoken of, teacher clarity and enthusiasm, surely those alone can make us much better effective communicators and helping students assist themselves in meaning making and understanding what they're supposed to be learning. And this makes us better teachers. Direct instruction. Yes. Thank you. Any questions? Anyone got a question? Could I explain something further? Yes?
Would you mind putting up the 5 aspects slide again?
Yeah, sure. Of the behaviours or the regular aspects?
The aspects that help it be successful, the first one.
Teacher clarity, instructional variety, task orientation, engagement in learning and learner success. Now, this is page 123 and the to-do list for teacher clarity is on 124 of Killing if you want to look at that later on. Any other questions? Yes?
Is there a lot of variety in direct instruction?
There can be. I think a lot of it is how you do it yourself. I did actually want to look at using students' ideas as a behaviour because Flanders has 5 different points of embracing those ideas that would give you variety. Here we go. Using student ideas, you get a chance to assess the student's understanding by the answers they give you. They feel actively involved in the lesson. They can then qualify statements and sort of someone else in the group. So for instance, if you question someone, you can then probe the next student to sort of increase the explanation there and to fully qualify that statement. You also get a chance with students' ideas to review the summary as a whole, to review the topic and the question what you're specifically studying. Anyone else? Sorry? Oh, probing. So it's the step after questioning. So probing is the step after questioning where if someone asks a question, you can then use that question they asked or a question you asked them to then bounce to the next step. So I might say, that's an excellent point, Sophia. Tracy, can you give me a little bit more information on that? You know, or can you, there's one thing missing, could you increase that for better understanding so we can solve this problem? You don't actually have to, it's an imaginary situation. But otherwise, you'd be on it. Anyone else? Yes?
I'm interested to find out how could you possibly...
Sorry, we'll need to finish that. Probably was an excellent question. We just have to look at the time.